keyboard shortcuts are like my ATM card. Everywhere I go, I make sure I can access my keyboard shortcuts. Because if you're familiar with how most NLEs work, you can import your keyboard shortcuts. So for example, because I do know several different NLEs, say somebody has something for me to cut, but however, the only thing that they have for me to cut it on is a particular NLE, like Final Cut or Avid Media Composer, or even DaVinci Resolve. Most NLEs will allow you to import your keyboard shortcuts. My keyboard shortcuts is geared around Avid Media Composer keys. And why that is because for me, Avid Media Composer, I believe, is one of the most lucrative tools in the industry just because of its organization and its menus and the way it just plays well when you have tons of media to go through. So JKL, as we know, that's the shuttle and stop and reverse shuttle. Those keys are very industry standard. A lot of people love to use those keys because it's just 3 fingers, you know, J, K, and L. K obviously stops, L's forward, and you hit L several times, and you can go to maximum speed, right? Or if you hit K, you can stop that maximum speed, and you can hit L to kind of slow it down or go backwards and reverse speed. So you the more J's, the faster the speed is backwards, and the more L's, the faster the speed is forward. And K will stop everything. Now, I don't really use JKL that much because I've orchestrated my keys to function in a different way. So what I like to use is I'm a spacebar fanatic. If I need to go speed, I will hit L. If I need to hear something fast, or if I need to hit rewind, or I have my keys set up with the numeric 1 and 2 at the very top of the keyboard, so it's easily accessible for me to just go up 1 and 2, and that will kind of go to the next 5 frames, or 1 will go back 5 frames and 2 will go up 5 frames, and then 3 and 4 will go 3 will go back a frame and 4 will go over a frame. Now I can set those down in the arrows as well, but I choose not to because I like to have my keys easily reachable when I'm ready to reach them. And my A and S will go back to each cuts that are made on the timeline, or as they call them in Add Edit, which is my command B, it's an Add Edit. Customizing your keyboard is extremely important because once you customize that keyboard and you get used to having your keys a certain way, you too can take your keys around like an ATM and be ready to cut anywhere at any time. And so with my keys, if there's multicam, I also have a keyboard shortcut for that. I have almost 3 different keyboard shortcuts: my primary, my secondary, and then my third. My primary is the one that's pretty basic. If I'm just doing a lot of rough cutting or doing some things like that, I'm gonna always go to my basic keyboard. And if I have something where there's multicam and I'm gonna get involved with breaking down the footage that way and I need to multicam it, I also have keys for multicam. And that's pretty much how I do it. And I also have these things set up, like I said, in you know, primary, secondary, and third. So I'm always ready to cut. I'm always ready. I always have my tools, and that's kind of why it's important to have your tools ready. And again, keyboard shortcuts just make things faster. You know, I used to have a rule when I had a couple of editors that worked under me before, and I used to explain to them that, you know, yeah, you could use the mouse and you can do things like that, but it's always gonna be faster when you learn your keys. I should see editors go down and go all the way up to the edit menu, and then they go into that, they go to the window. Everything was on the top of the bar, which is cool. I mean, it's good because you get to know everything there, but once you know everything in the back of your mind, you can always throw it down. Everything that has in the menu up top, the file, edit, view, window, help, all those things can be added to your keyboard, okay? So that's an FYI.